Right, so this is where I'm up to again, putting the body back on. I put a couple of figures in. I decided just to steal a couple of figures from the platforms and just put a couple of random figures in. I've got a cab driver there and a conductor in there looking for tickets off this person, and plus another random person there as well, but I just haven't got the time to buy cheap figures and then repaint them. I think, you know, I'm just going to get this one back together and get it running and see what it looks like. So yeah, that's it. I'm going to do that now. I'm going to attempt what I've done. I've put the cowling back on, but I've lost a little tiny roof vent, and the chances of finding that are highly slim. I might look in the Hoover I've got to see if I can find it, but here's my attempt now at manoeuvring. Just double check, make sure everything's okay before I try and do it, but looks okay. That goes into that position. That looks good. And then push the seats forward slightly. Right, that looks good. Doesn't look like it's in properly on the front. I don't know. Let's have a look anyway. Let's see if I can. Oh wow! Look at that. That just clicked in. So much easier than I thought it was going to do. Wow, that is that's a result. Right, so it's on the test track. Let's give it a quick fire up, see if everything's working all right. Yep, interior lights, cab lights. Yep, that's all working good. That's all looking good. All is fine except for the driver's cab. I'm not sure. I think it has got a driver's cab light, but I'm not sure how to get that working. I thought I'd look into that, but other than that, it's all seems to be fine. Right, so I've got these ready to go on, but after doing some research on the internet before running these, I'm just trying to discover if anyone's had any problems running these, and there are problems running these coaches, especially on tight geometry track, which I've got unrealistic track geometry. I've got tight curves, I've got double slips, I've got lots of tight track work, which have got really unusual routes, and this is where there will be a problem with these coaches running on my system. And apparently, after doing some research, it's these little these areas on the back of the coaches where the cables come down. These can interfere with each other because you've got cables. You can see how they come out there. That's one I've not done. And that's one I've done where I've made it less severe of a curve. Less curve on those cables. And the reason for that is when you've got two coaches going around a tight curve or a set of double slips or whatever, there's a possibility bogies can do that, and then the cables interfere with each other on the actual coaches. So I'm going to have to straighten all these cables out. It's realistic but it's one of those details that can cause problems, so I will be straightening all the rest of them up. Also, another thing is, these couplings are really, really difficult to connect up. They're very, very tight. You've got to be careful connecting these up. So what I've done, I've checked all these screws to make sure they're tight and everything, but I've also used a bit of WD-40 just to lubricate each area of the coupling where there's like a socket where it goes into each other. Just lubricate those areas so they slide in better when you're connecting them up. And I'm not sure what is the best way to connect these coaches up. I've had a go at connecting them up, and they're really they're very, very tricky to connect. So anyway, disconnecting them all again, and obviously I'm going to straighten up the hoses on the end of the coaches, put the snowplow back on because I missed the snowplow on this one, put that back on. Forgot to put the sound chamber cover on, put that back on. So I'm going to have another attempt and see what happens now. Right, so I've tipped the loco on its side like this and connected up the couplings, and they went together so much more easier than the first time out of the box. It was just that little bit of lubrication and they're all connected perfectly. So I'm just going to roll it over on its side now, roughly onto the track, like that. And for me, that is the best way to do it. It looks a bit primitive, but you can just manoeuvre that. Sorry, the lighting's just gone. The film light's just gone out. So anyway, I'll use these little felt pads to enable to do that without causing any damage to the actual train. Right, so we're back on. I've got another light going now anyway, a bit better lighting. Because the attic lighting's not at full power because I've got a failure on one of the LED tubes. Like now I can just line up the wheels after tipping it over on its side like that. Make sure it's all on the rails. I'm just hoping this will work now. Right, here goes. I'm going to power up. Hope this works. Oh, there we go. All working. For a minute then I didn't think it was going to power up. Well, that's all good news. Right, let's see if it pulls off. That's good news. Right, so what I'm going to do there, I'm going to put it through a really complicated manoeuvre through this junction. Now, if it goes through this junction without derailing, then I'll know it'll work on every single part of the layout. So it's going to come through a right hand point, through a double slip, then a right on a double slip, then a right on a right hand, through a double slip, and then left on a double slip. So here it comes. Let's see what happens here. Oh, that's good. That's worked well, that. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to reverse it back through. Well, that's great news. It's working beautifully. Absolutely beautifully. So that's good. All I've got to do now is run it in. Just straighten all these points up. Just bring it through again and do some running in. But I really like this model. It's superb. And that's it for now. Thanks for watching.